welcome aboard. Tim Harridge. We're going to talk about identity creation, walk you through some of the steps, and get you on the way to the right process. So, an identity is really how you identify yourself to the general public. Do not confuse an identity with an entity. For instance, one of the main entities that I operate under is Jennifer Rainey Investments Incorporated. That is an entity. It's a legal entity. One of the identities I operate under mainly is Harridge Homes, which is simply a DBA that I use to put on my advertising collateral, and it is nothing more than an identity, and it's just an identity that people associate me with. So please, during the course of this, do not confuse an identity with an entity. Entities will be covered at a later time with Brian Dunklin, where he will get into C Corps, S Corps, LLCs, Sub S Corps, and the things of that nature. So we're talking about an identity. So the way you establish an identity is to file a DBA, which is doing business as. And this is filed with a county clerk. So as you're listening to this, start thinking of how you want yourself to be identified. On the screen today, you're looking at Brian Farmer's screen. Brian is the videographer that has been helping us put together all the audio and video to market this product, and is helping us with the exclusive content that we're creating every day. So Brian is very interested in being a real estate investor, and so what we're doing today is we're going to take Brian through the steps of creating an identity. So I'm not going to ask Brian to talk because I don't want to make him too bashful. But the thing about an identity is it needs to be personal to you, and it doesn't have to be something complex. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to come up with a residential property professionals incorporated and all this other stuff. I use Harridge Homes. Why? Because I like the way the two H's looked on a logo. Brian and I have talked, and he is going to use Farmers Realty Group and
Real estate group.
Yeah. Farmers Real Estate Group. And the reason is Brian feels as if that's something he's going to like to say on the phone. It's something he's going to like to see on a business card. It's something he wants to see on a logo and on his squeeze pages. So the identity, it may sound kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it has to be something you identify with. It has to express you. And it doesn't have to have your last name. You just heard me say Harridge Homes, and you heard me say Farmers Real Estate Group. I know plenty of people that don't use their name at all in their identity. But the thing is about an identity is the identity does need to identify you. So, for instance, if one of the limited partnerships that I used to own was called EGA Ventures LP, Limited Partnership. Well, EGA Ventures stood for Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, which is the Marine Corps emblem. And it was two other former Marines and myself, so three of us formed this limited partnership. It was an identity, but it didn't specify one thing about us. It specified a common thread between the three of us. So, I know people that use their hometown, Rockwall Property Solutions. I know people that use acronyms. Dash Property Company stands for Dave Arant and Scott Horn. Get creative, but know that, part of what we're teaching you is not to be the ma and pa in the back of the truck that doesn't have any sort of branding. We're going to teach you to brand yourself, but it's also, you want to brand yourself to potential home sellers, but then also you'll be branding yourself to potential clients and investors. So just, take a moment. I hope I've talked enough, and if you need to, in order to complete this step, just take a minute, because what you're going to do is we're going to create your identity, And then that identity, it's gonna be on your business cards. It's gonna be on your web page. It's gonna be on your marketing collateral. It's going to be on your checks. Because one of the next things that we set up is we're gonna go set up a bank account in this identity's name. And that's the thing is, you can actually go set up a bank account with a DBA. Now, there are several people listening right now that want to go the more sophisticated route and want to do the DBA and an LLC. Like I said, we'll cover that later. You do not need to do that in order to get started, but as part of this week's accountability checklist, we will be making you feel guilty if you have not set up a DBA. So we're going to go through the steps of what Brian would have to do to set up a DBA in Collin County, Texas. Now, for those of you in different states or those of you in different counties, what we're teaching here is the principle. The principle is your county clerk's office is going to have these forms. Most counties have the forms online. Some counties don't have them online. Some, like I live in Rockwall County. In Rockwall County, when you call the county clerk, they say, yes, this is where you do it, and you're more than welcome to drive down here, walk through the metal detectors, and fill it out. And so that was my option, just because it's a smaller county here in Texas. So call your county clerk's office and just tell them you need the assumed name division, and they'll get you to the right people to get the information on what each county requires to fill out a DBA. They will require you to go to the computers and search the names that are available to make sure that your DBA does not, if you're looking up, say, Tim Buys Houses. Well, most likely, if I were to go to Dallas County, there's already a Tim Buys Houses. Now, you don't have to search the Secretary of State filings for a DBA because you're not filing a legal entity. You're filing an assumed name in the county that you primarily do business. So, with that said, we're going to take a look at what Brian has on his screen, and he's on the Flip That Contract portal. Well, Brian, why don't we go to the Collin County website,
Sure.
The district clerk site. And if you don't know the website, you can just, one of the best tools we're going to teach you guys during this course is called Google. It's google.com. If you need to find something, that's where to find it. So, Brian, let's act like you don't know that your county actually provides these forms online. So, Collin County, not appraisal district. Let's type in district clerk. And let's talk district clerk. And then hit space after clerk, Brian, and type in DBA. So, he goes there. You don't see any returns that say DBA. Down there at the bottom, though, you see Collin County Clerk Services assumed names. So we're going to click on that. And lo and behold, it tells us all the information we need for this county clerk's office. Links and resources, assumed name search. See, this county actually has all of this online. A certificate. So what we're going to do is click on Assume Name Certificate for Unincorporated Businesses. Because in this case, Farmers Real Estate Group is not incorporated yet. Correct, Brian?
Correct.
Okay. So name of business, and it doesn't look like you can fill this form out online. You're just going to have to print it and fill it out. But we'll go down and we'll just fill it out. Go back to the top, Brian. Okay, name of business. This is where Brian would write in, after he prints it, Farmers Real Estate Group. And and Brian, we're assuming that you're going to have to go through the steps to search. You're going to have to make sure that you're not conflicting with anything else in Collin County.
Okay.
Business address, it's not necessary to have a P.O. box. And let me tell you guys, once you file this DBA, you're going to start getting all kinds of junk mail, because you're a new business and people pay for the list. Just throw it away if you're not interested. Some of it may be some good offerings. You just never know. So, Brian, are we using your home address, or are you getting a postal mailbox?
I decided to use my home address.
Okay, in which there's nothing wrong with that. I use that for one of my DBAs. So Brian will write his home address in there. It's 10 years is the period that it will be used.
Okay.
And what Brian's going to do, since this is just Brian, he's just going to mark this as a sole proprietorship. So, or actually, in this case, it would be just proprietorship. See, what happens is Brian is not incorporated. He doesn't have a limited partnership. He doesn't have a C corp, an S corp, or any of that. So, which he doesn't need to file this form, because he can start as a sole proprietorship, and then Brian can actually, when he can just take that sole proprietorship to an attorney's office, and they'll help him fill out the paperwork to get it all converted over into the partnership or the limited liability company or whatever it is Brian chooses to use. So then he's going to go down below, and let's say, and this is not the case in case Brian's wife is listening, let's say Brian does not trust anyone else, and he is going to be the only owner listed on this assumed name certificate. Perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Brian will fill that out, and he's the only one. So then he'll need to get a witness, and then I believe this is going to be notarized.
Yep.
And a lot of times the county clerks will do that for you. You'll pay a fee. Every county is different, and I'm sure on their website it'll say the actual fee. And they'll give you a copy that day. A lot of times they charge you they'll charge you a fee for the copy. It's kind of crazy. You know, they just charge you to record what you gave them, and now they're going to charge you a fee to copy it. But hey, it is what it is. It's the government. You can't. They're going to do what they want to do. So
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You say there needs to be a witness. Do I need to bring someone with me?
No, most of the time they'll witness it for you.
They'll witness it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, the two ladies at the counter, etc.
Ah, got it. Okay.
So he'll file this, and he'll take it with him. He'll make extra copies when he gets home. And the next step that next thing Brian's going to use this for is to set up his bank account, which we'll cover in a later lesson. So that's the lesson on filing a DBA. And if you have any questions, you can put questions or comments directly on this module. So, or actually on this entry. So if you have any questions, comments, just enter them below, and we'll get heading towards the next lesson.
Thanks, Tim.